everyone, and welcome to the second edition of Spill the Beans. Today's conversation is extremely special for two reasons. Firstly, it's the first time that we're doing Spill the Beans offline, and it's the first time I get to meet these wonderful women / moms in person. And also, most importantly, this is the first time we're going to experience the first offline store, live store of Edamama. So I'm super excited about that because it is a dream come true. And I think everybody who has had a dream to have a brand and see that brand actually come to life in physical form someday will relate and resonate with that. But I want to start by saying, firstly, thank you all for being here because I know how challenging and hard it is to even take that little time out of the mom schedule to come out and be there and talk about being a mom in the first place. But I thought it would be a good experience for all to come and sit together. So starting with Priyanka, thank you, my lovely Piki, for being here. Malvika, Roshni, Smriti, Juhi and Vinny. Spill the Beans is all about mums coming together and talking about how they're being mums. No preachiness, nothing like too hectic, just sharing thoughts, ideas, stories, and what it is to be a mum in this day and age. And it might be similar to what it was 10 years ago, might not. Who cares? But we're all here and we're spilling the beans. Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Smriti, because we were just chatting about, and I think none of us here were able to believe that you've just had a baby.
Yeah, she's 1 month old.
She's 1 month old. Yeah. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is sleep looking like to you right now?
Yeah, right now, because this is my second time around, I was prepared for this, honestly. Yeah, so there's, of course, that sleep deprivation phase, which I'm in. And last night also, I just left for 2 hours. What? Woke up at 5, fed her, and came here.
Did you look like this after sleeping for 2 hours?
I am looking miserable, I think. But it's the makeup which is the savior, yeah.
Fab.
So, yeah, but... yeah, I was prepared for this, and I always tell myself that I need to do this with love and not just feel, sulk about it.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep putting in. And every time I have to wake up in the night, I have to tell myself that I'm doing this for myself and not for the baby.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted it this way, and I wouldn't have this any other way. So I think that just helps. And my work also keeps me sane. So again, getting back actually just puts me
in this your first day back, or like did you...
First event, yeah.
First event.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one dinner I went out with my husband.
Okay.
And this is the second time I'm out.
Is it harder the second time round? Because I'm just like one child.
It's just the same, but you're prepared. So it just makes it slightly easier.
I heard like a mom told me once that it's harder the second time around because you forget about the first time. So then the second time you're like, oh my God, did I do this?
I think the harder part is that you're also kind of trying to help the previous one, and your older kid is sometimes, wanting you, and then you're like not able to give that much time. So it just makes it harder that way. But I think you're prepared. So, yeah.
Okay. PK Juhi, I'm interested in knowing because I'm sure many moms will also want. What is your favorite sleep hack for getting your baby down, okay, to go to sleep? And what's your go-to guilty pleasure while the baby's napping?
I think so far my baby's only 6 months now.
Wow.
A lot of Jack Johnson songs.
Oh!
Keep playing it and eventually he goes to sleep. Or it's reading good night to at least 15 times. The story on the repetitive word and goes to sleep. But so far 6 months is better.
I think with Aryan, I've just figured out a couple of mannerisms.
Okay.
We set a routine right from the beginning. Luckily, it's worked out. So he kind of starts rubbing his eyes, or he starts singing glories for himself. So I know it's time for bed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like he'll start humming. So I know that okay, now it's time for bed, and then we just like obviously lots of cuddle time. I like to sing for him.
What do you sing?
Like lots of like the old school songs like Chanda Hai, like stuff that my mom sang for me. Yeah, so I feel like we've kind of set a routine and it works out.
And guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure is just doing nothing. Because the whole day you're either working or with the baby or like just at it.
Yeah.
So I like to just kind of sit on the couch and
just like scroll on your phone.
Exactly. Or like spend time with my husband because we don't get to do that.
Yeah.
So just like doing nothing is my guilty pleasure.
I play the white noise for myself.
Yeah, I'm so used to it now.
There's this song called Listen to the Horses by Rafi. Rafi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Raha loves that song to go to sleep to, and so sometimes I play that for her. I found myself listening to it on the plane yesterday while I was trying to go to sleep.
With your playlists all get mixed up.
PK is privy to that. Sometimes you're like, after a cool Diljit song, suddenly like one
Wheels on the
yeah, Wheels on the Bus and
my
start
fault.
playing.
That's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Wheels on the Bus.
And
Okay.
Baby Shark.
Yeah. PK, you mentioned, what is it with Baby Shark anyway? PK, you mentioned books. And Malvika, you posted a beautiful video, which I, of course, have personal interest in even more because you were reading Edamama to Abby. And it's such a lovely video. I mean, something that I love also is reading books to Raha. So I wanted to know that is reading books a part of the daily routine for Abby, and is this something that you consciously did as a mum?
Yes, actually, ever since she had like vision, I knew was coming. There was always books kept and picture books, visuals, because I'm a visual person and visual learner. So instead of text, I need images. Okay, and so I understood that images may help her, and it did. So again, books started with words, ended up being the biggest book with like a lot of words was Ed Finds a Home, and reading it every single time, like on repetition in the morning, is what got her ear to that. And she understood to fill in the blanks at the end.
Yeah.
Every time would be like da da da, lonely. So
Yeah.
we do it in that like in that tone.
Yeah.
So she's like lonely, lonely. So then I'm like, okay, she gets it with music involved. Like she likes that tonality to it. So books have been an integral part of Abby's growth.
And what are some of the other books that you read to her?
Mostly very nerdy, very number, picture books, a lot of Peppa images, so a lot of fruit flashcards. So yeah, story-wise it would be Peppa, but this is an actual real storybook that we're reading that has a message,
Oh, nice.
that has something to do with emotions. So that's why when we read lonely and hungry, so
Yeah.
she's like lonely, lonely. Like, you know, she
Yeah.
feels the emotions. I'm like, that is a
That's
cool
amazing.
yeah. So I think I tie it together with the tonality, the feeling of emotion, and I think now she's starting to understand it. So that's why stories are very important because it teaches her about emotions with the story.
I'm in that phase right now where I'm currently making stories up for Raha. Where suddenly she'll be like, Mama, tell me Papa's story. Then I'll make up a story about Ranveer. Then tell me Tanna's story. Like she calls my sister Tanna. So I'm literally making stories up, and I'm really like becoming very creative. And I'm saying random, very like magical things and stuff like that. And then she immediately moves on in 2 lines to another story. So it feels quite special to even like be a storyteller for your child. Okay, so Vinny, how do you encourage Zain to be pronouncing it right? Zain. To be curious vis-a-vis the environment. The reason I'm asking you this is like recently we went on a trip to Paris, and we went to the park and there were ducks there. So we were like, oh my god, raha, ducks and everything. And then I was discussing this with Ranveer. I was like, how often would we as adults actually go for a holiday and just go to a park and stare at a duck? The reason you do it is because you're doing it on behalf of your child. So is this something again that you consciously inculcate? And in the meanwhile, are you also sort of learning to experience the environment in a different way?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I was just speaking to a couple of friends the other day and I was telling them how priorities have changed and how now I want to be a part of all the cultural events and everything and every nature park and every safari and everything for that matter. Who would do that before?
Correct.
But now I want to do everything for him. And also I'm reading this book called Einstein Didn't See Flashcards. So the book is basically how, it basically explains how you should be disturbing a child when they're out and about. So when they're down to the ground doing something dirty or whatever, or observing a duck, or we were in Japan recently, so we went to a deer park. So observing deers and things like that, you should not talk to them. You shouldn't disturb them. Don't break that thought. So basically that book is also about this, that you don't interrupt the child when they are observing something, because they are focusing. So there are times I want to tell him, okay, we're going to a deer park. I tell him in advance, okay, today we're going to go see deers, we're going to go feed them, we're going to do this, blah. But then when he's actually over there, I don't talk to him. I want him to look, I want him to grasp on his own as much as he can. So while he's at it or watching the deer munch or whatever, I don't want to tell him, oh, look, that's over there. And look,
we tend to do that.
Yeah.
There's so much to experience.
Exactly.
I think
So,
we're also so excited about it.
yeah, we are, well, no doubt.
That's so interesting. And I mean, but do you like take note of what he's repeatedly taking interest in? So would you also kind of curate the experience, or you're like, listen, lead the way, and and you're like, you're
No,
the
both
master?
actually. It's a balance of both. So there are times he will take interest, so we would obviously, want to take him to, a certain set of experiences a lot more than the
Correct.
others. But then it's a balance. They've also got to learn the new things.
Correct.
And they've also got to pick up their own likings.
Correct.
So it's just a balance, and I'm this newfound extroverted self that I am. I'm suddenly the icebreaker with the weird mom. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And sometimes I, go to sleep and I'm like, who is this girl? I don't know her. But then you got to do everything. So it's just a balance of everything.
Okay. So Roshni, Edamama is a conscious clothing brand with, this is made sustainably with sustainable fabrics, trying to be conscious of the planet environment that we live in. And one thing that we know is kids grow out of clothes really fast. So any tips and tricks that, for moms over here and moms watching, how do you, plan their life's wardrobe? So you said your kids are 11 and 8.
Yeah, that's right.
While still being, because you have to procure new items for them. What do you do with the
Absolutely.
clothes that they grow out of? What are some of the practices that we practice?
So, from a very, very early age, we've always inculcated in them just the idea that you have more than you need, and that is a really big privilege. And sharing what you have is just one of the best things that you can do. Not just to spread cheer, but also to make yourself happy, because I truly believe that when you give something, it's the giver who actually receives more in terms of just happiness. So they're two boys. They share a lot of clothes. They share shoes. They even share socks, football socks. Sometimes they'll say, can I wear yours? Yours were lucky for me for the last match. And I'm very happy and I'm proud that, at this age, at 11 and 8, where you may have the propensity to say, no, this is mine and I don't want to share it, that these two are very happy to share everything. And before festivals, before things, we always make packages to give away. And now they come up themselves. They're like, Mama, I've outgrown this. Should we keep these to, for our next donation drive? We do a lot of donation. We also don't, they actually just love some of their favorite clothes so much that they want to repeat them all the time. So I actually have to request them to say, people will think I post the same pictures. My children only have one set of clothes that they're wearing always, even though they have multiples of that particular thing that they may like. So I have to actually request them to come shopping with me. They're boys, they don't like to shop. They're like, no, I'm fine, I'm happy, I have it, I don't need any more. So something has gone right there.
And is shopping just something that you look after, or somehow, because I find like I have not bought one thing like in the last 2 years, people just keep giving me things.
Yeah, no, they're now at that age where in fact, from a very young age, they knew exactly what they wanted.
Okay.
And gifts that they would get, they would be like, no, I'm not going to wear this. So we can keep this for, they're so individual and so much in touch with their own sort of style. They're extremely sassy.
Yeah.
Extremely, happy to express what they like and who they want. They know who
And
they
we
want to
encourage-
be.
and we encourage-
Absolutely. I think, clothes is a way of saying who you are without opening your mouth. So I'm happy for them to have that.
Okay, speaking of clothes, PK, you work in fashion and you're really good at what you do. I'm really curious, we've never had this conversation, but is there something you keep particularly in mind while shopping for your mom?
Okay. I mean, honestly, it's only 6 months, but I'll tell you all one little secret. So, when I knew I was having a boy, and I'm obsessed with fashion, I work in fashion, I made a little mood board for the grandparents of a color board. I was like, no bright colors, only muted tones, no prints. But it was really funny. And my mother was like, you're just, you're like, what do I do? I'm scared to buy him anything. I was like, it has to be all muted. But having said
In
that,
your color palette.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like
Just
curated a
wait,
little
just
color palette.
wait. When he grows
I
up and
know.
only wants to wear football jerseys.
I was like,
And
I
only
know
the
that's going
team
to
he
happen.
likes.
And Superman and Batman, so I'm trying to keep him away from
So
that.
what is the mood color palette? May we know?
Just muted tones. Oatmeal, chocolate,
feel you.
white, pale blue. Yes. But having said that, I think now as a mom, the label of the item matters so much to me. It has to be an organic fabric, natural fabric, especially now that he's so young. And I think the one thing I discovered as a mom is that sense of connection you get from sharing and reusing things. Like, honestly, I've barely bought anything from Iman. He has, a lot of my friends had babies, they have passed on stuff. And I think it's so beautiful that, because there's so much thought and care when you are choosing things for your baby, and the fact that it can be reused and shared. And it's something I have discovered and I love it. And already Iman's things are going to 2 other babies. And so I think buying consciously works, because then at least other people can also use it and reuse it.
Okay, one question for all of you, and you can all go one by one. What is one weird habit that you've noticed that you picked up after being a mom? Like something that you've noticed, like, okay, Vinny, you mentioned that extrovert that you suddenly become. So that we can count as a weird habit. Okay, anything?
I think with me, I'm just like overthinking a lot, and I'm constantly like, okay, but what if? Like,
Yeah.
even if he's sleeping peacefully at night, I feel like I have to wake up and check, is he sleeping? And then I'm complaining that I'm not getting enough sleep. So I feel like I kind of invite it on myself, but then I'm just like overthinking and obsessed with that.
Yeah, so for me, I think sometimes we end up saying something wrong in front of our kids. So
Ah.
I have learned to quickly turn that around. Like the other day, I told my daughter, ki, "Ye kachra kyun rakha hai yahan?" She's like, "Mama, that's my worksheet." I was like, "No, when things are not kept in the right place, we call it mess. And mess in Hindi is called kachra." So I would like to turn things around like that. I think that's one quirky habit that I've picked.
Anything? I mean, you've been a mom for
For me, I think I keep telling them it's my heart camera. I discovered my heart camera. So they're like, Mama, how do you know? Even if you're not there, how do you know what happened? I'm like, because I can see you from my heart camera. So I think like it's that instinct that just happens.
That's not weird. That's I'm going to use that. Yeah.
Heart camera. So now they're so scared if they do something wrong. They're like, today something happened. Did you see it in the heart camera?
Listen, mine's the funny one. I think speaking in baby voice, I think I do that a bit much to even adults sometimes. It's not okay. Something, how are you, Mama? Something that is not, you don't need to.
Yeah.
But I think baby voice and extrovert, you said I've become an introvert. So I'm usually I love meeting people, but I've just become like a shell because just of how my panned out, how my life panned out.
Yeah, I would relate with that. Like, I feel like I have lesser to give.
Yeah.
Not like I had more anything earlier, but like I have lesser.
Much more lesser to give and like lesser energy, patience, tolerance. I feel like learning to build that also is coming difficult just because of how everything panned out in my life very differently. So I feel like navigating all of it is difficult, but that's why I feel like the small quirky habits like the baby voice just keeps it funny and light.
Yeah.
I think for me, I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad, but yeah, I've gone into a bubble, which I didn't think would happen. For me, it's work, baby, and nothing else in between.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find a balance, but I think it's going to be a long journey in finding it. But one very weird thing I've started doing is just watching him sleep, and I watch it like I'm watching an Instagram reel. And sometimes even when I'm like away, I'm like at 1 a.m. I'm at a bar with my friends. I'm just watching it
The
for
baby
fun,
camera.
not to check on him. And I'm just laughing, like I'm watching him sleep, and my friends think I have lost it.
I'm not getting into the whole food conversation
Baba.
because that's like, I think that requires a whole like spill the beans, the food edition. But because you said sleep, I think one of the things that, if I can say, gives us possibly more satisfaction is once when our child eats and when our child sleeps.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but some like hormone
Yeah.
it really makes you feel comfortable. And I'm going to end with asking you all an uncomfortable question because this is spill the beans, so we have to talk about something that makes us uncomfortable. Mom guilt. I think I'm going to acknowledge that all of us perhaps can say that we have the privilege perhaps of having help and support. Yeah. But guilt is guilt wherever you are in the world, and especially if you're a working mom and you're going out there and still trying to do your thing. So what do you do to deal with the guilt?
Fight with the husband. That's what happens. Mom guilt equals fight with the husband. They poor things. They are the ones who end up, because you feel bad, then you can't say it to the child, so you end up going to the husband and you're like, well, you're not helping enough and you're not doing enough, and it's
So you basically, what I'm understanding is you get it out. You get it out of your system.
you have to get it out.
Yeah, so I thought with my second one, now I'm going to be less guilty because she'll have someone. But now I've gone on this whole other guilt trip where when I'm spending time with the older one, I'm thinking that the younger one needs me. And when I'm with the younger one, I feel that the older one's not getting enough attention. So I think there's no escaping. But
There's no escaping, but how
Yeah.
do you deal with it?
So I feel that, I can't divide myself into two. And it's only the best that I can do from this thing. So I try to do activities where both of them are involved, and I don't keep her away when I'm feeding.
You try and include it together.
Yeah, including them here.
I think obviously I'm trying to find different ways to deal with it because it's not going anywhere. But recently I called it upon myself. I took Aryan with me to Milan for Fashion Week, and Fashion Week itself is very intense, and it was tough. So I realized that that's something I don't want to do next time. So I'm just like, it's trial and error. You just like keep finding ways to make yourself feel better. But I feel it's not going anywhere. It's just gonna be there.
Yeah, I think one thing you told me, in fact, you told me a long time ago that it's a familiar feeling. I'll just get familiar with it and it'll be okay. And I think I have that in my head, like etched in my head. So I went with that feeling. So I know that it's gonna be there. So I'm not trying to get rid of it. But how do I replace it is I want someone to stay back with Abby, probably like my mom or someone that I trust also. That gives me a little bit of escape to feel like, okay, I can't possibly be there and do work, it's just me. So I leave like my mom back.
Some feeling of
family.
Yeah.
And I think that helps.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. So that helps me pass the guilt a little, but you're right. So yeah.
Actually, I would say something to Malvika because there is no escaping mom guilt. So you've got to accept it, you've got to embrace it, and you've got to live with it either way. So
Yeah.
there's that, but I just also feel that I don't think I do anything differently. I just feel like it's something that it's a fight within yourself.
Yeah.
So it's less external,
Correct.
and more internal. So I'm trying to spend time as much as I can with my child. I've been ever since born, but more than that, I just try to like calm myself down, take deep breaths, and distract myself. I think that works better because it's not going in. It's right there, and it's more internal.
Yeah, I think that's one nice way to put it, that it ain't going anywhere, so you just have to deal with it. You have to do what you got to do. And nobody told you life was going to be comfortable, but looking at their face makes it all worthwhile. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was really fun. And this is only the second edition of Spill the Beans, but I definitely feel like there's going to be a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And we'd love to chat some more. Like I said, we'll discuss food another time, because that's a Spill the Food conversation. Yeah, that was Spill the Beans. I hope you had fun, and thank you so much. And let's go and check out the Edamame store.
Let's go.